Alrighty, I think we can get started. So, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of our Live on ServiceNow webinar series. Today, I'm so excited to bring you through one of our newest and most anticipated products. And you're going to see in a minute what are we talking about in the cloud space, of course. And I just want to make sure that this is the first episode of its kind because this product has no GA yet. So this is an exclusive preview for all of you that have joined today. And we're going to make sure to give you all the different previews of how the product looks like and all the different use cases that it's going to cover. We are super excited to have you all here. Now, first things first, this webinar is part of the Live on ServiceNow webinar series, which is really aimed at helping you deploy and adopt our products to really make sure they achieve value faster. So if you want to join and you definitely don't want to miss the next episodes of this program, please make sure that you either scan this QR code right here or you access the link that will be shared in a minute via chat. So please make sure that you do that. And a couple of housekeeping items for today. As per usual, please make sure that everyone is muted and that you leverage the Q&A options that we're going to have today. So if you look for the Q&A box, you're going to be able to find the specific place where you can ask questions to us. And we're going to make sure that we answer them throughout this session. We're going to have a poll, so please make sure that you participate in the poll. This session is indeed being recorded, so that's great news for you. You're going to be able to access it on demand on the same community page as it was advertised, and also some of the slides will be shared with you in the same place. And after the session ends, we have a very short survey for you, but that's really important for us so that we can better understand what did you like, what did you not like about this session, and especially what you want to see in the future. So please make sure that you take that survey. Now, quick intros. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Gian Mario De Luigi, and I'm part of the amazing outbound product management team for ITOM. And together with me, we have our head of cloud today, Max Aronin. Max, over to you.
Thanks, John. Very excited to be here and looking forward to taking everyone through our exciting new innovations.
Amazing. Really special guest today. And of course, in the back end, we have Derek Kitzelman, our rock star, and he's going to make sure that we get you covered with all of your questions and curiosity. So before we get started today, please make sure that, as I said, this is a really special episode. So Safe Harbor notice applies to what we're saying because what we're presenting is not GA yet. This is, as a matter of fact, a preview of what you're going to see with the upcoming release, the Q2 store release, and beyond, as a matter of fact. So please do not trust necessarily everything that we're going to say today. Now, in terms of agenda, we're going to go through the cloud challenges. We're going to see what CAM, Cloud Account Management, is about. You're going to see a demo of how it's going to look like. And then we're going to go through a quick roadmap session and also a Q&A. So plenty of content for today. But now, before we get started, I want to make sure that we are able to ask you this very fundamental question. So just going to trigger the poll in a minute. So we want to make sure that you tell us which cloud challenges are you currently facing? And so are you currently facing regulatory challenges, either because you have mandates for compliance, so you need to report for MRAs or SOX, or even you need to be aware of PII, PCI, DORA, or GDPR regulations, etc. Or otherwise, are you currently facing challenges when it comes to provisioning and managing new cloud accounts? And otherwise, as I see a lot of you are definitely experiencing the last two challenges. Is your challenge more about the governance in the cloud or even discovering cloud resources to your CMDB? Of course, if you have anything else, please make sure that you leverage the Q&A box. I'm just gonna leave the poll on so you can all input your your answers there. So thanks all for participating. I see a lot of engagement already. Now, let's start from the very fundamental challenge that we currently see in the market, which is about cloud compliance. And I see that many of you are already facing a very consistent pressure from regulatory bodies when it comes to make sure that you have the right visibility and the right control over your cloud environments. Now, being specific, we know that there are plenty of regulations that are either industry specific, such as HIPAA, DORA, PCI, etc., or even Sarbanes-Oxley, or even matters requiring attentions, MRAs. These are some of the regulatory requirements that we see in the market right now, and they are typically involving highly regulated industries such as banking and financial institutions, but even beyond that. So, in terms of how you can meet these regulatory mandates, there are very specific use cases that are common across different industries. So you don't necessarily need to be in the banking and financial industry. But really, if you have any type of regulatory pressures such as the above, you will need, first of all, to know exactly which resources you own, which accounts you own, who is actually owning them. So, do you actually have proper ownership across your cloud accounts and beyond? And how about service context? Do you know exactly how each account and resource is eventually impacting your application services? And then ending with cost controls. How do you make sure that you keep your costs under control when it comes to having, as an example, budgetary restrictions over some of your cloud environments? Now, these are some of the key use cases that are met by our new product that is going to be launched, which is ITOM Cloud Account Management. And I'm so excited to bring you through it. But essentially, the key goal of Cloud Account Management, or CAM, as we're going to refer to, is essentially to make sure that, first of all, we save you time when you want to get your compliance data or visibility data. I've seen now in the poll that a lot of you want to make sure that you not only discover properly your cloud resources and you govern them, but also that you meet these regulatory challenges. Well, Cloud account management not only allows you to have a single pane of glass from where you can see all of your accounts, and you can do much more effectively because you can eventually see also how many resources you have per account, what other information is associated with that account. As an example, the ownership, because you can actually do automated ownership attestation, and we're going to see that in a minute. But also you have different workflows that you can leverage, not only to check the existing accounts in terms of whether they are compliant or not with your governance principles, but you can actually streamline the provisioning of new cloud accounts with a self-service experience that is actually making sure that you provision exactly what is compliant with your own internal policies and that all of your cloud accounts are properly managed. This is an actual breakthrough. So we're going to see now how the actual workflows work. When it comes to your existing accounts, let's consider that you have different cloud accounts across different environments. Well, what we do is we can, of course, discover them. And if you have missed some of our previous webinars where we go deeper into how you discover your different cloud environments, please make sure that you check at the end of this presentation the link for the on-demand sessions. We basically have the offer of an inventory of your cloud accounts that is going to be in a single page, and each account is going to have all the different information that we mentioned before, such as how many resources you have per account, whether you have any configuration or misconfigurations in that account. Because effectively, we're going to have some policies that are going to be applied to each of your accounts, at least for the major cloud providers, where we're going to make sure that each account is compliant, at least at a high level, with your governance principles. So as an example, the account lacks ownership. That is something that should be notified immediately so you can act on it as soon as possible. or the cloud account lifecycle management actions. Well, this means that, again, talking about cloud cost controls, let's say, you know that one of your accounts has a specific budgetary limit for a specific month. Whenever that budget is exceeded, you'll be able to either suspend that account temporarily so that no other resources are going to be provisioned on that account, and then you can reactivate that account. That is a very concrete example of many things that can happen in this space. Now, for new accounts, the cool thing is that we will reimagine how your cloud accounts are going to be provisioned and how they're going to be essentially managed, because the experience is going to all start from the cloud account request that is available from the catalog request, I would say. And we're going to see that in a minute. But essentially, the request is going to be streamlined, and ServiceNow, again, is not provisioning anything. We just integrate with your automation tools, or we leverage the cloud native APIs to provision in the cloud. But we're going to make sure that before and after provisioning the very specific cloud accounts, you're going to have policy checks so that you can enforce your governance and you can make sure that they are provisioned according to your policies. And once these accounts are provisioned, you're going to have not only full visibility to meet all the mentioned use cases, but you're also going to be able in the future, and this is an upcoming item, you're going to be able to leverage better cloud cost management and cloud security management. This is I would say, roadmap item that we'll cover soon. Now, I want to show you really quickly how this translates if we consider a demo. So just give me a second so I can switch my screens. And I will show you, I'll actually bring you through how this is going to look like in the future release. So I guess you can see my screen, but before we proceed with the demo, I wanted to make sure, Derek, that we cover all the questions. Is there anything in the chat or in the Q&A box, I would say?
Yeah, there was one I forgot to, well, I clicked the wrong button, said I was going to answer live, but we do support event-driven discovery for AWS, Azure, and GCP. And I pasted in the chat the link to the AWS event-driven discovery links to the doc.
Amazing, Derek. Thank you for that.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
please feel free to ask questions. We have great experts today, so we're going to make sure that all of your questions are addressed. Now, this is an exclusive preview of a new concept, a new workspace, of course, because we do love workspaces at ServiceNow, as you already know. But essentially, cloud account management is going to be the first main pillar of a new paradigm, which is going to be the Cloud Workspace. And Max is going to bring us through that concept in a minute. Now, this is, again, a preview of how the product is going to look like by GA. And the first thing is that you have different personas that are going to be able to leverage this workspace. In this very first screen, you can see how there is going to be an overview of the different cloud accounts so that you know exactly how does your cloud account estate look like across different clouds. And especially you have very cool information here about which of these accounts need attention, either because there's a pending approval or because there are failed requests or because the accounts have critical severity or they are due for certification because they don't have ownership. So,
And John, if you're showing the screen, we still see the slide.
oh, thanks for that, Max. Let me just share it again. Let me share it once again. I want to make sure that it works. Oh, it should work. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Of course. So I was just talking about the preview, and apologies for that. The Cloud Workspace essentially is going to be the key go-to place for you to have a better idea of how your cloud posture looks like. And again, the first view is going to be very easy and very simplified so that you know exactly how many accounts you have across your different cloud providers and which of them need attention for the aforementioned needs. So as an example, whether you're provisioning new accounts and they are still pending approvals, or failed requests, or which accounts are have critical severities or are due for ownership certification, as you can see here. But if we go and explore all the different accounts, as you can see here, you have a unified view of how those accounts look like. You have an integration to determine, okay, what is going to be what are the main information for each account, how many accounts overall you have, what is the severity, and whether you have unmanaged or suspending or due for certification accounts. This is, you can imagine, to be the CCoE leader or the cloud team's manager or a CCoE admin that needs to make sure to have this quick overview of these accounts. And then you can also change the view to make sure that you know exactly the basic information about this account. So do you have an owner for each account? What is the status? What are the associated business services? And what about the cost center? Is that assigned, et cetera, et cetera. So you have a lot of different, many different information that you can actually leverage here. The cool thing is that you can then explore each specific account and really make sure that you get the insights that are required for each account. So as an example, if we open the Okta processing account in this case, not only you're going to have a quick overview of the different account details, ownership options, and even you can set up the ownership for all the different resources inside the account, but you can actually visualize each resource within that account. So you know exactly, as an example, how many VMs you have, or how many storage databases, functions, etc. So how many cloud resources are within that account. You can propagate the ownership to each one of those resources. And then the configurations violations are, as I said before, just appearing here, which means, okay, based on either the out-of-the-box policies that we provide you with or the other policies that you are able to create, we leverage our very same audit engine to make sure you know exactly which configuration violations are there, and you have a breakdown by severity. So this is really, really important. And then if we go back to the accounts overview, you're also going to be able to request for a new account. This is the requester overview, the requester dashboard, I would say. So for each requester, you're going to be able to see how many accounts have been requests and how many pending approvals there are. And the requester could be an engineering manager, as an example, or any other persona that is enabled to have the rights to request for a new account. The new account request could be for QA or for production or for development, and you can choose, as an example, one of them or all of them. So you can provision multiple accounts at once. And here you can specify all the different parameters. So the actual view is the same as the traditional, let's say, provisioning play that you have. Now, the cool thing is that essentially you're going to be able to make sure that you have either pre-filled forms, or you can also limit the budget, and you have different options to limit the budget in that case. So how do you make sure that these requests are streamlined, and how do you really make sure that you're compliant and that you automate these checks? Well, each provisioning flow will still have either budgetary approval workflows or decisions or policies, I would say, or configuration assignments or general approval policies, so that you know exactly how, as an example, for budget approval, how you're gonna approve automatically or approve manually or automatically decline a specific request. Now, that was a quick overview of how this is going to look like. And again, this is just a preview of everything that you're going to see. Of course, you can then set up your configurations to provision your accounts or to manage them. And we said you can leverage your automation tools such as Terraform or even your cloud native interface. So you don't need an external automation tool to provision anything. But really, let's try to recap the core value of this product. First of all, account inventory with visualization, as we said before, and ownership. You can propagate the ownership to all the different accounts. And then you can audit these very same accounts, as we said before, according to different violation compliance. So you're auditing against some policies. You can make sure that you know exactly what is the cloud resources inventory within each account, propagating ownership to each of them, and really having all the details so you can better govern them. And make sure that you really keep this in mind. Whenever a new request is being placed, that account is automatically managed, automatically scanned for compliance against these policies, or I would say configurations policies. And you're also going to be able to make sure that each of these new provisioning flows is compliant with your governance principles. So a really, really, really exciting moment for us as we launch this product. And I will pause there for a second. Derek, are there any questions?
Yeah, so licensing has been a recurring question, so I don't know if maybe you want to address the licensing. There were questions about does it require CPG licensing or what kind of licensing is required?
Right. That's a great question. And I feel like we're going to cover that a little bit more in the roadmap preview. Again, this product is not even GA. We're going to make sure that we communicate everything by GA. But as a preview, I can tell you that in order to have cloud account management, you'll be required to have our Cloud Accelerate SKU. And in addition, another SKU, which is related to the overall Cloud Workspace experience, which is the Cloud Governance Suite, which is going to be a really, really paradigm shift in the cloud solution space for ServiceNow. And I think Max is a perfect segue for the roadmap session. But before that, Derek, is there anything else from?
Yeah, so there's a question about fully supported for Azure Gov, and Oracle OCI.
So
So
for Azure, absolutely. As you can tell here, we have support for AWS, Azure, GCP, and OCI. We're going to get, again, all these details will be covered by GA in a better manner, but the GA is going to be really in the first days of May. So it's going to be really soon. What we can tell you is that the existing cloud estate, so the existing cloud accounts, you'll be able to discover them and have them, as you can see here, popping up in the cloud accounts list so that you can do, at least for Azure, GCP, and AWS, you're going to be able to scan them against these policies. And then for provisioning, you're going to be able to leverage Azure and AWS initially, with more and more clouds being supported. So that's a quick preview of how even that part is going to look like. Anything else, Derek?
No, I think we're good right now. We'll
Amazing.
triaging the other questions.
Fantastic. Thanks, Derek. So Max, do you want to share your screen? Or will I share my screen?
Yeah, keep sharing your screen and
Yeah.
I can certainly do the talk track.
Yep. All right. Roadmap. Once again.
All right, John, thanks so much. So obviously the safe harbor notice applies to the roadmap sections, especially. So we go to the next slide. To set a little bit of the context of cloud account management, cloud account management is really a foundational use case that we see from our work with many customers as well as our hyperscaler partners who have in place multiple cloud adoption frameworks that cover myriads of cloud operations and cloud governance use cases. And through that work with our hyperscalers, we identified not only the foundational use case, which is the multi-account strategy and lifecycle, but also the few other ones that they believe, based on many engagements with multiple customers, are the foundational use cases to get the cloud governance right. And if you see what you see here is probably not surprising to many of you, because that aligns really well to our strategy for ITOM overall. What we've been missing is this use case around account management. And by putting that in place, this we believe will be a game changer for allowing you to scale out the cloud governance across the organization. But what's even more exciting is that this use case is then the foundation for other use cases in place. We talked about the discovery. That now becomes even more powerful because now you're associating the resources that you're discovering to the accounts with ownership and mapping to the business services or applications. Your tagging strategy becomes much easier now that you're starting your tagging strategy at the request level of the account, and you're able to propagate that tagging strategy down to the resource level after the provisioning. And the common complaints from customers is, how do I control my costs? How do I adhere to compliance and security requirements for my audits? That becomes all built in this new framework. So if you go to the next slide, John, what's really exciting is many of you know, ServiceNow already has a number of capabilities across our technology workflow portfolio that address these use cases. So the cloud account management that John just went over, that is new. That is coming out of Q2, and we're really excited about it. Now, as you saw, that works on top of ITOM Cloud Visibility, which is the foundation. But we have a lot of other capabilities in the platform. If you look at IT Asset Management, has Cloud Cost Management capability, which now can help you actually visualize and optimize the costs of running cloud resources. In SecOps, we have vulnerability management capabilities, which will monitor all the vulnerabilities coming from different vulnerability scanners and help you identify and remediate those vulnerabilities and misconfigurations. And we have what used to be called Application Portfolio Management, now called Enterprise Architecture Product, which has a number of cloud architecture capabilities, such as migration planning, and coming soon is a cloud architecture modeling. And so while we have these products across technological workflow, what we haven't had is an integrated experience. And this is what is really exciting, is that in Q2 release with CAM, we're also coming out with a brand new experience in a Cloud Workspace as part of what we call the Cloud Governance Suite. Now, Cloud Governance Suite will be the new integrated experience for all our cloud solutions. Not only will it be the integrated experience, but it'll be a data model that integrates all cloud capabilities from across the CMDB. So it makes it easy for you to now use the data for compliance purposes, or we call it compliance dashboard. So when you have to support use cases to demonstrate controls of processes, we're going to make it super easy for you. So you don't have to go figure out which tables data sits in. We bring it all together. And the last piece, as part of the Cloud Governance Suite, because we're bringing all the data together into the cloud data model, it is going to position you for the agentic experience. We're no longer going to have to run reports, but you're simply going to have a conversational experience to answer any questions that your business partners have to help them analyze the data in CMDB. So this is game changing, and what's really exciting is ITOM is leading the way. ITOM Cloud Account Management will be the first application in this Cloud Governance Suite, and will be the foundational application because the Cloud Account Management construct is foundational for the cloud architecture strategy that most hyperscalers are advising their customers on. Pretty close afterwards, we're going to have well, great. Thanks, John. So what you saw John show is what's going to come out in Q2, which is the fundamental use case on cloud account management. Shortly thereafter, in Q3 release in September, we're going to follow fast with the Cloud Compliance Dashboard. This is where it's going to take all the data from all your accounts, and I'm going to identify gaps in account ownership, for example, of which accounts don't have owners, which is exposing your organization to risk that needs to be mitigated. The second capability that's coming soon after is in Q4 is we're going to start adding cloud security management. This is where we're going to take the capability from SecOps and how they're able to find vulnerabilities across your cloud estate. We're going to marry that up with the discovered data in these accounts, and we're going to make it easy to see what vulnerabilities in those accounts could put your organization at risk. Additionally, Q4, we're targeting a use case that many of you have surfaced, which is how do we manage the end of life for cloud assets? It's not easy because it's not easy to find that data. We need to automate that so we understand when there's risk. We're going to build that into the cloud accounts. In your accounts, we're going to see what assets in those accounts are nearing end of life. I'm going to notify you, and that's going to be capability coming out of our ITOM product. And then last but not least, this one I am really excited about. We've been talking about agentic AI and the promise of it, and this is a truly game-changing use case. So while Cloud Compliance Dashboard is nice, but what's really amazing is being able to have a dynamic experience where any report can be dynamically produced on the fly based on the questions that your business partners or your auditors are going to ask you. Because the beauty of this is that we're going to have all this data around all your cloud assets in one place. And now you just need a simple way to talk about it with your auditors in business. And this is what a capability called AI Canvas, that's going to be part of our platform. It's going to come out, and it's going to be extend the platform analytics experience. That's going to make a truly Gen AI-led experience for your cloud compliance dashboards. So this is just a taste of what's coming, John. I hope that gives everyone a kind of an idea where we're headed. But just to reiterate how excited we are about cloud account management being the foundational capability, that is the basic use case that aligns to the cloud architecture direction that hyperscalers are taking their customers to.
Amazing overview. Thank you so much, Max, for this fantastic preview. It's really the first time that we go through such a deep dive, detailed roadmap in one of these sessions, not only explaining how customers can be successful with our capabilities. So this is definitely exciting. Derek, in the meantime, is there anything in the chat that we can bring up as a live Q&A?
I think we have triaged most of the questions so far.
Amazing. Yeah, I would just like to give the opportunity now to everyone else before we end this session. Yeah.
I got one for you real quick. So there was a question and I answered it, but I believe I just want to validate my answer. So someone asked whether they need to write custom Python or use Terraform templates to provision new accounts in AWS and Azure, or do we already have pre-built workflows?
Yeah, that's a great question. We absolutely do have our own pre-built workflows that integrate with Terraform. We just need to ingest your existing templates or let's say, out-of-the-box templates that we offer to provision on, in this case, AWS, and then it's going to be Azure by GA. So yes, we do have our own workflows that integrate with Terraform, but then you can absolutely leverage your own templates. And actually, you don't necessarily need to use Terraform, as I was saying earlier on, because we can also provision directly with cloud native API calls, I would say. So that's a great question. Anything else? So I see a discovery related question. So are we able to control which cloud account to include for discovery? Now, for cloud discovery leading practices, we have absolutely a dedicated session that has been hosted recently, and we're going to make sure that we share all the different details. So yeah, and thanks, Derek, for taking all the questions in the background. Now, any other questions before we wrap this up? Please, it's your chance. And I see a lot of great engagement today, so I really appreciate everyone's efforts here. It's been a really, really active crowd, so thank you all for that. I would say before I forget, for some reason, it wouldn't let me share my knowledge slide that I have, but please make sure we're going to share the link in a moment. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen and try to reopen that very same presentation, because I think it's really, really important that you all get a chance to attend knowledge. And there must be something that it was not necessarily working with my PowerPoint. So in the meantime, I'm just going to reopen my presentation once again and reshare my screen. It should, for some reason, it's not working. So I'm just going to do it the other way around. So share. And hopefully you can see my slide by now. So if you have not enrolled to Knowledge, please, please, please make sure that you you scan this QR code now and you register to Knowledge. It's going to be such an amazing event, but I think really from a even attendee myself of Knowledge, the greatest value has been to really interact with us, really for you to interact with us, with the product teams. If you are talking to your account teams, you can schedule sessions with us. So we can go through your current challenges and really make sure that we have our one-on-ones there. It's a great networking opportunity, and you can really learn hands-on how to use our products. We have great sessions from ITOM specifically, where we're going to show you, and you're going to have access to actual instances in order to try hands-on our new products. So please make sure that you leverage this opportunity. And then we have plenty of other resources that I would like you to please leverage, which is ServiceNow Impact training and certifications in expert services. These are extremely useful resources, and we want you all to leverage them because we want you to be successful while deploying our products. So please make sure that you either scan these QR codes here, or you leverage these slides that will be shared up after this session. And then when it comes to previous sessions, we do have on-demand ITOM visibility and Cloud Accelerate Academy sessions that are available in this specific site. So you can scan the QR code here, and please make sure that you do so that you don't miss any of our previous webinars. It's a really good thing if you're having lunch and you want to listen into something. These are great resources that you can absolutely listen to. And then, of course, we have our beers for engineers, product deep dives that I will absolutely recommend you to also follow. If you're not familiar with them, they're doing an amazing job. So please make sure that you also scan this QR code. I know that we shared a lot of content today, and it's been a great, great session. Once again, I would like to really thank you all for attending and for your great participation once again. I would like to thank our head of cloud, Max, for presenting and bringing us through such an exciting roadmap. Thank you, Derek, for your amazing support once again. And again, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your time. Please make sure that you don't miss our upcoming webinars. And I'm really looking forward to see you again here. Thanks all, and have an amazing rest of your day.